The call came at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, right when I was reviewing a particularly fraudulent-looking water damage claim. Vanessa's voice had that breezy, dismissive tone she used when she was about to ruin my day. "Hey, babe, so I borrowed your car and got in a little accident. You're not mad, right?" Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I stared at my computer screen, watching the cursor blink in the damage assessment field. 3 accidents in 6 months. 3. And now she was asking if I was mad, like she'd accidentally used the last of the milk. "Not at all," I said, my voice flat as roadkill. "Define little accident." "Well, the other car is pretty banged up, but yours just has some scratches and maybe a dent. The guy was totally aggressive about it, though. Really unreasonable." I leaned back in my cubicle chair, the springs squeaking like my patience. Tom Hargrove, 31 years old, claims adjuster for Consolidated Insurance, and apparently the world's biggest sucker. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting that sickly office glow that made everyone look like they were dying slowly. "Vanessa, we've talked about this. You're supposed to ask before taking my car." "I did ask. I texted you like an hour ago." I scrolled through my phone. No texts, no missed calls except hers. But arguing with Vanessa about reality was like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall. Messy and ultimately pointless. "Where are you now?" "At the scene. The police are here. They want to see insurance cards and stuff." My stomach dropped into my shoes. "Please tell me you have your insurance card with you." Silence. The kind of silence that costs money. "Vanessa?" "Well, see, that's kind of complicated. I've been meaning to get my own policy, but yours covers me when I drive your car, right? That's how it works?" I closed my eyes and counted to 10. Then 20. At my desk across the cubicle maze, my colleague Marissa was pretending not to eavesdrop while obviously eavesdropping. Her typing had stopped completely. "No, Vanessa, that's not how it works. You need to be listed on my policy or have your own coverage." "But we live together." "We don't live together. You have your own apartment. You sleep over sometimes." Another silence, this one crackling with indignation. "Fine, whatever. Can you just come down here and sort this out? The officer is getting impatient." I looked at my desk. 17 claims to review before 5 o'clock, a stack of fraud investigations that wouldn't read themselves, and a girlfriend who apparently thought insurance worked like a magic wand you wave at problems. "Text me the address. I'll be there in 20 minutes. After I hung up, Marissa swiveled in her chair. "Trouble in paradise?" Paradise is a strong word for whatever this is. I grabbed my jacket and keys. "If Henderson asks, I'm at a claim site." "Sure thing. Hey, Tom?" She lowered her voice conspiratorially. "Maybe it's time to consider upgrading your coverage. You know, the kind that doesn't include other people's drama." I almost smiled. Almost. "Thanks for the advice." The drive to the accident scene took me through downtown, past the insurance offices and law firms that fed off situations exactly like this one. My 2019 Toyota Camry had been reliable, economical, and mine. Past tense, apparently. I found them on Elm Street, right outside Morrison's Luxury Auto. Of course. Vanessa was standing next to my car, which now had a spider web crack across the windshield and a front bumper that looked like it had been introduced to a brick wall. She was talking animatedly to a police officer while gesturing at a silver Mercedes that looked like it had been through a blender. The officer, a stocky guy with graying temples, looked up as I approached. His name tag read Reddick. "You the owner?" "That's me, Tom Hargrove." I shook his hand. "I work for Consolidated Insurance, actually. Claims adjuster." Officer Reddick's eyebrows went up. "Well, that's convenient. Your girlfriend here says she had permission to drive the vehicle." I looked at Vanessa, who was giving me her wide-eyed, innocent look. The same look she'd used when I found her wearing my expensive watch to her friend's party without asking. "She did not have permission," I said clearly. Vanessa's mouth fell open. "Tom, what are you doing?" "Being honest. You took my car without asking. Again." Officer Reddick made a note. "Sir, are you saying this was unauthorized use of your vehicle?" The question hung in the air like smoke. I could feel Vanessa staring at me, probably calculating how much trouble she was in. The owner of the Mercedes, a well-dressed woman in her 50s, was watching us with the expression of someone who smelled money. "I'm saying I need to review the situation and get back to you," I said finally. "Can I get a copy of the police report?" "Absolutely. Case number 2024-115847. I memorized it. In my line of work, case numbers were everything. The drive home was silent except for Vanessa's occasional sighs and the rattle of my damaged car. She'd ridden with me, leaving her friend Tara to pick her up later. Every pothole we hit made something new creak or groan. "I can't believe you threw me under the bus like that," she said as we pulled into my apartment complex. "I didn't throw you anywhere. I told the truth." "Same thing?" She slammed the passenger door hard enough to make me wince. My apartment was on the 3rd floor of a decent complex with a gym I never used and a pool that was closed more often than it was open. Vanessa had been spending more and more time here lately, leaving her stuff scattered around like she was marking territory. I poured myself a beer and sat at my kitchen table with my laptop. Time to do what I did best, investigate. Logging into my insurance portal was like opening Pandora's box. My premium had increased 47% over the past year. 3 claims, all involving Vanessa driving my car. The latest one hadn't even been processed yet, but I could already see the damage assessment pending. "What are you doing?" Vanessa asked, appearing in the kitchen doorway. "Checking my insurance." "And?" I turned the laptop screen toward her. "See this? This is what happens when someone has 3 accidents in 6 months. She squinted at the numbers. "That can't be right." "It's right, and it's about to get worse." "Well, what are we going to do about it?" We. Like this was a team effort. Like she hadn't single-handedly turned my reliable transportation into expensive scrap metal. "We aren't going to do anything. You are going to get your own insurance policy and stop driving my car." "That's not fair. Insurance is expensive." I stared at her. "You think it's expensive for you? Look at what I'm paying." She crossed her arms. "I don't have the money for insurance right now. Things are tight." "Then take the bus." "The bus? Tom, be serious." "I am being serious, deadly serious." She studied my face, probably looking for signs that I was bluffing. She wouldn't find any. Something had shifted during that conversation with Officer Reddick. Some internal switch had flipped from accommodating boyfriend to claims adjuster who smells fraud. "Fine," she said. "I'll figure something out." After she left, I opened a new browser window and started researching Massachusetts law on unauthorized use of vehicles. The statute was clear. Taking someone's car without permission was a crime, even if you were dating them. I made myself another beer and settled in for a long night of reading. The next morning brought a voicemail from Mercedes Lady. Her name was Patricia Henley, and she wanted to discuss the incident and appropriate compensation for damages and inconvenience. Her tone suggested she'd done this before. I was sitting in my cubicle, reviewing a suspicious house fire claim, when Marissa rolled her chair over. "So, how bad was it yesterday?" "Bad enough. My car looks like it lost a fight with a parking meter." "And the girlfriend situation?" I glanced around the office. Our supervisor Henderson was in his glass-walled office, probably reading the sports section and pretending to work. The morning crowd was still settling in with their coffee and complaints. "Let's just say I'm considering some policy changes." Marissa lowered her voice. "You know, I saw Vanessa at Murphy's bar last weekend. She was with some guy I didn't recognize." My fingers stopped typing. "What kind of guy?" "Slick-looking, expensive clothes, driving a BMW. They looked pretty cozy." I processed this information like I would any other claim detail. Objectively, methodically, without emotion. "Did you get a good look at him?" "Good enough. Tall, dark hair, probably mid-30s. Had that car salesman vibe, you know?" Car salesman. The accident happened right outside Morrison's luxury auto. Coincidence? In my experience, there were no coincidences. Only patterns people didn't want to see. "Thanks for letting me know." "Hey, Tom. I'm sorry. I know that sucks to hear." "It's information. Information is never bad." But it was bad. It was the kind of bad that settled in your chest like indigestion and stayed there all day. I spent my lunch break driving to Morrison's luxury auto instead of eating. The dealership was one of those gleaming temples to expensive taste. All glass and chrome and cars that cost more than most people's houses. I parked in the visitor section and walked through the showroom. Salesmen in expensive suits circled like sharks, but I waved them off. I was just looking. The service department was in back, connected to the showroom by a corridor lined with awards and customer testimonials. I found what I was looking for at the service desk, a duty roster with employee photos and names. There he was, Elliot Eli Kramer, sales manager. Dark hair, expensive smile, the kind of guy who called everyone buddy, and meant it as a threat. "Can I help you?" I turned. A young woman in a Morrison's polo shirt was looking at me expectantly. "Just checking on a friend," I said. "Eli Kramer. He around today?" "Mr. Kramer is with a customer right now. Can I take a message?" "No message. I'll catch him later." I drove back to work with a new understanding of my situation. Vanessa wasn't just careless with my car. She was careless with me. The difference was, I could do something about it. That evening, I called my insurance company from my apartment. Consolidated Insurance, this is Jennifer. How can I help you? Hi, Jennifer. This is Tom Hargrove. Policy number CH4471829. I need to make some changes to my coverage. Of course, Mr. Hargrove. What kind of changes? I need to remove an authorized driver from my policy. Sure, I can help with that. What's the name of the driver you'd like to remove? Vanessa Morales, I heard typing. I see Ms. Morales listed here as an occasional driver. Removing her will actually lower your premium slightly. Any particular reason for the change? We're no longer in a relationship. I understand. I'll process that removal immediately. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Actually, yes. I need to file a police report regarding unauthorized use of my vehicle. How does that affect my current claims? More typing, longer this time. Mr. Hargrove, if you're alleging unauthorized use, that could potentially void coverage for the incident. Are you sure you want to proceed? I'm sure. Okay, you'll need to provide us with the police report number once it's filed. We'll investigate accordingly. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen and opened a beer. Through my window, I could see the parking lot where my damaged Camry sat like a monument to poor judgment. Tomorrow, I'd file that police report. Tonight, I had other plans. I called my friend Samir, who worked in IT at Consolidated and had a useful set of skills that weren't entirely legal. Tom, what's up, man? I need a favor, the kind you're good at. Oh. What kind of trouble are you in? The kind that requires information. Can you meet me at Murphy's? Murphy's Bar was the kind of place where insurance adjusters went to forget about fraudulent claims and lying customers. Dark wood, dim lights, and a bartender who minded his own business. Samir was already there when I arrived, nursing a craft beer and looking like he'd rather be home playing video games. He was thin, nervous, and brilliant with computers in ways that made me glad he was on my side. So what's this about? He asked as I sat down. I told him about Vanessa, the accidents, and Eli Kramer. Samir listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding like he was debugging code in his head. You want me to dig up information on this guy? Just basic stuff. Social media, public records, anything that might be useful. Define useful. Anything that might explain why my girlfriend is suddenly interested in luxury car salesmen. Samir pulled out his laptop. Give me 20 minutes. While he worked, I watched the after-work crowd filter in. Construction workers, office drones, a few cops from the local precinct. Normal people with normal problems. Got something, Samir said, turning his screen toward me. Eli Kramer's Facebook page was a monument to expensive taste and poor judgment. Photos of him with various cars, various women, various expensive meals. His relationship status was listed as, "It's complicated." Check this out, Samir said, scrolling down. Posted 3 days ago. It was a photo of Eli standing next to a red Corvette, arm around a brunette in a tight dress. The brunette was Vanessa. Son of a bitch, I said quietly. Gets better. Look at the comments. The comments were a mix of congratulations and crude jokes about Eli's new ride. Someone had tagged Vanessa with a heart emoji. She'd responded with her own heart emoji and, "Thanks, babe." When was this posted? Tuesday night, about 2 hours after your accident, according to the timestamp. I stared at the screen. While I was dealing with police reports and insurance claims, Vanessa was celebrating with her new boyfriend. The accident wasn't carelessness, it was convenience. There's more, Samir said. I checked her social media too. She's been posting about Eli for weeks, dinner dates, shopping trips, even a weekend in Boston last month. She's been living a whole different life. The beer in my hand suddenly tasted like ash. Print all of this. Tom, what are you planning? I'm planning to file an accurate police report, with supporting documentation. Samir looked uncomfortable. This is getting pretty heavy, man. She crashed my car while cheating on me, then lied to the police about having permission to drive it. I'm not the one making it heavy. He printed the pages and slid them across the table. Just be careful, okay? Revenge has a way of getting complicated. This isn't revenge. This is claims adjustment. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't entirely true. Sitting there in Murphy's Bar, looking at photos of my girlfriend with another man, I felt something cold and calculating settle in my chest. Something that had nothing to do with insurance and everything to do with justice. I finished my beer and headed home to prepare for tomorrow's police report. The next morning, I took a personal day and drove to the police station. Officer Reddick was working the day shift, which made things convenient. "Mr. Hargrove," he said, looking up from his desk. "Didn't expect to see you again so soon. I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday, about unauthorized use." He gestured to a chair across from his desk. "Have a seat. What's on your mind?" I pulled out the printed Facebook pages and laid them in front of him. "I did some research last night. Turns out my girlfriend has been seeing someone else, someone who works at the dealership where the accident happened." Reddick studied the photos, his expression neutral. "This is the woman who was driving your car?" "Yes, Vanessa Morales. And this is Elliot Kramer. He's a sales manager at Morrison's Luxury Auto." "So, you think she took your car to see this guy?" "I think she took my car without permission. Period. The fact that she was seeing someone else just explains the pattern of behavior." Reddick leaned back in his chair. "Pattern of behavior?" I pulled out my insurance records. 3 accidents in 6 months, all while she was driving my car. Each time she claimed she had permission. Each time she didn't. "Why didn't you report the previous incidents?" "Because I was an idiot who thought I was being a good boyfriend. Now I know better." He made notes while I talked. Professional, thorough, the kind of documentation that would hold up in court. "Mr. Hargrove, I have to ask, are you doing this because you're angry about the cheating, or because you genuinely believe a crime was committed?" "Both," I said, "but the crime happened regardless of how I feel about it." "Fair enough. I'll need you to file a formal complaint. Are you prepared to press charges if we determine unauthorized use occurred?" I thought about Vanessa's face when she realized I wasn't going to cover for her anymore. About Eli Kramer's smug smile in those Facebook photos. About my insurance premiums and my damaged car and the casual way she'd asked if I was mad. "Yes," I said. "I'm prepared." The paperwork took an hour. By the time I left the station, Vanessa Morales was officially under investigation for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. I drove straight to Morrison's Luxury Auto. The showroom was busy with lunchtime customers, couples looking at cars they probably couldn't afford. I spotted Eli immediately. He was showing a red Mustang to a young couple, his salesman smile cranked up to maximum wattage. I waited until he was alone, then approached. "Eli Kramer?" He turned, the smile faltering slightly when he didn't recognize me. "That's right. Are you looking for something specific today?" "Information, actually, about Vanessa Morales." The smile disappeared completely. "I'm sorry. Who are you?" "Tom Hargrove, Vanessa's boyfriend. Well, ex-boyfriend as of yesterday." His face went through several expressions before settling on cautious confusion. "I'm not sure what you want me to say." "I don't want you to say anything. I just wanted to see what she was trading up for." "Look, man, I don't know what Vanessa told you, but she didn't tell me anything. Facebook did." That landed. He glanced around the showroom, probably checking to see who was listening. "Maybe we should take this conversation outside," he said. "No need. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just here to let you know that Vanessa is about to have some legal problems related to unauthorized use of my vehicle. Problems that might affect anyone associated with her." "What kind of legal problems?" "The kind that involve police reports and insurance fraud investigations. The kind that make people ask uncomfortable questions about who knew what when." Eli's face had gone pale. "I didn't know she didn't have permission to drive your car." "Of course you didn't, just like you didn't know she was still living with me when you started dating her." "She said you guys were broken up." "She says a lot of things. Most of them aren't true." I pulled out one of my business cards and handed it to him. "Tom Hargrove, Consolidated Insurance, Claims Investigation Division. If anyone asks, we never met." I left him standing there holding my card, probably wondering how much trouble he was in. The drive home gave me time to think about what came next. Vanessa would find out about the police report soon enough. She'd call, probably crying, definitely angry. She'd want to know why I was doing this to her, but I wouldn't be doing anything to her. I'd just be letting the truth run its course. My phone rang as I pulled into my apartment complex. Vanessa's number. "Tom, what the hell is going on? I just got a call from some detective asking me to come in for questioning." "Detective Rodriguez, probably. He's handling your case." "My case? What case?" "Unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, also known as car theft." Silence. Then, "You son of a bitch. Vanessa, you took my car without permission and crashed it. That's a crime. The fact that you were cheating on me while you did it just makes it worse." "I wasn't cheating. Eli and I are just friends." "Facebook says otherwise." Another silence, longer this time. "Tom, please, don't do this. I'll pay for the damages. I'll get my own insurance, whatever you want. What I want is for people to face consequences for their actions. This will ruin me. I could lose my job." You should have thought of that before you decided to live a double life. Please, Tom, I'm begging you." The desperation in her voice almost got to me. Almost. But then I remembered the photos of her with Eli, the casual way she'd asked if I was mad, the 3 accidents and the lies and the complete lack of respect for me or my property. "I'm sorry, Vanessa. I really am. But this is out of my hands now." "No, it's not. You could drop the charges." "I could, but I won't." I hung up and turned off my phone. That evening, I met Samir at Murphy's again. He looked nervous, like he always did when one of his computer projects started having real-world consequences. "So I heard through the grapevine that Vanessa got arrested today," he said. "Not arrested. Questioned. There's a difference." "For now. Tom, are you sure about this? I mean, she's looking at serious charges. She committed serious crimes. But she's also your girlfriend. Was your girlfriend, whatever." I took a long drink of my beer. "Samir, let me ask you something. If someone stole your car and crashed it, what would you do?" "I'd be pissed. And if they lied to the police about having permission to drive it, I'd be really pissed. And if you found out they were cheating on you the whole time?" Samir was quiet for a moment. "I'd probably want them to pay." "Exactly. But this isn't just about payment, is it? This is about destroying her life." I looked around the bar. Construction workers complaining about their bosses, office workers complaining about their spouses, normal people with normal problems, none of them sitting in judgment of me. "She destroyed her own life," I said. "I'm just documenting it." But even as I said it, I knew Samir was right. This had moved beyond simple justice into something darker. Something that felt good in a way that probably wasn't healthy. I didn't care. For the first time in months, I felt like I was in control of something, and I was just getting started. The call from Detective Rodriguez came 3 days later. Vanessa had been formally charged with unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and the case was moving forward. Her arraignment was scheduled for the following week. "Mr. Hargrove, I wanted to let you know that Ms. Morales has retained an attorney. They're claiming this is a domestic dispute, not a criminal matter." "What does that mean for the case?" "It means they're going to argue that you two had an understanding about the car, that this is just a boyfriend-girlfriend spat that got out of hand." I sat in my cubicle, watching Marissa pretend not to listen to my conversation. "Detective, I have documentation that she was seeing someone else during our relationship. This wasn't a misunderstanding." "I know. That's actually why I'm calling. The defense is going to paint you as a vindictive ex-boyfriend. They'll say you're using the legal system to get revenge for the cheating." "Are they wrong?" Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. "Mr. Hargrove, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen a lot of domestic situations that turned ugly. The question isn't whether you're angry about the cheating. The question is whether a crime was committed." "And?" "Based on the evidence, I believe it was. But you need to understand that this is going to get messy. Her lawyer is good, and they're going to make this about your relationship, not about the car." After I hung up, I sat staring at my computer screen. A fraudulent slip-and-fall claim stared back at me, but I couldn't focus on it. My personal life had become more complicated than any insurance fraud I'd ever investigated. Marissa rolled her chair over. "Everything okay?" "Define okay." "You look like someone who's having second thoughts." "I'm having thoughts. Whether they're second thoughts is debatable." She glanced around the office, then leaned closer. "Tom, can I give you some advice?" "Shoot." Be careful. I've seen relationships blow up before, but this is different. This is legal stuff. Criminal stuff. Once you go down this road, there's no taking it back." "What would you do?" "Honestly, I'd probably do exactly what you're doing, but I'd also be scared as hell about where it might lead." That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. "Tom, this is Patricia Henley. We spoke briefly after the accident." "Mercedes lady. I'd almost forgotten about her and all the criminal drama." "Ms. Henley, what can I do for you?" "Well, I've been dealing with your insurance company about my car, and they're telling me that coverage might be denied because the driver wasn't authorized. Is that true?" "It's possible. The case is under investigation." "I see. Well, that puts me in a difficult position. My car has significant damage, and I'm being told I might have to sue Miss Morales directly for compensation." I almost smiled. Almost. "That's between you and your attorney, Ms. Henley." "Actually, I was hoping we could work something out. I understand you're upset with Ms. Morales, but I'm an innocent victim here. I just want my car fixed." "I sympathize with your situation, but I'm not the one who hit you." "No, but you're the one pressing charges that could leave me without any way to recover damages." The conversation continued for another 10 minutes, with Patricia Henley making increasingly desperate offers to settle the matter privately. I listened politely and declined everything. After I hung up, I realized something had changed. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was enjoying this. That evening, I drove past Vanessa's apartment complex. Her car was there, along with a BMW I recognized from Eli's Facebook page. Even facing criminal charges, she was still seeing him. I parked across the street and called my friend Nina, a retired cop who lived in my building. She'd always been good for advice about legal matters. "Nina, it's Tom. Can I ask you something hypothetical?" "Shoot." If someone was charged with unauthorized use of a vehicle, and they continued to associate with people who might have been involved in the original incident, would that affect their case? "You mean like showing a pattern of poor judgment?" "Something like that." "Tom, what are you up to?" "Nothing illegal." "That's not what I asked." I watched Eli's BMW through my windshield. "I'm just trying to understand how the legal system works." "The legal system works fine when people let it work. It gets complicated when people try to help it along." "Meaning?" "Meaning don't do anything stupid. Whatever Vanessa did to you, let the courts handle it. And if the courts don't handle it the way I think they should, then you accept it and move on with your life." But moving on had never been my strong suit. In my job, I investigated insurance fraud until every loose end was tied up, every inconsistency explained. I didn't see why my personal life should be any different. I drove home and spent the evening researching Massachusetts civil law. If Vanessa beat the criminal charges, there were other options. Civil suits for conversion of property, intentional infliction of emotional distress, fraud. The law was like insurance, complicated but logical once you understood the rules, and I was very good at understanding rules. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Eli." I stared at the message for a long time before responding. "Murphy's Bar, 1 hour." This was getting interesting. Eli was already at Murphy's when I arrived, sitting in a back booth and looking like a man who'd lost a lot of sleep. His usual salesman confidence had been replaced by something that looked suspiciously like fear. "Thanks for coming," he said as I sat down. "Thanks for texting. I was wondering when you'd want to chat." The waitress came over, and I ordered a beer. Eli was nursing what looked like whiskey. "Look, Tom, I think we got off on the wrong foot." "Did we? I thought we got off exactly right." He shifted uncomfortably. "Vanessa told me what happened, about the charges. That's heavy stuff." "It's appropriate stuff. She could go to jail." "She could. Probably won't, but she could." Eli took a drink, his hand not quite steady. "She says you're doing this because you're angry about us. She says a lot of things. Most of them aren't true. But this is about us, isn't it? About me and her?" I studied his face. He was younger than I'd thought, maybe late 20s, with the kind of soft features that suggested he'd never been in a real fight. The expensive clothes and cocky attitude were just costume. "Eli, let me explain something to you. Vanessa stole my car. Not borrowed, not misunderstood the rules. Stole. She crashed it while committing that theft. Then she lied to the police about having permission to drive it. Those are crimes." "But you guys were dating. Dating someone doesn't give you the right to steal their property." She didn't think of it as stealing. "What she thought doesn't matter. What matters is what she did." Eli finished his whiskey and signaled for another. "Okay, fine. But what do you want from me?" "Nothing. You're not my problem." "Then why did you come to the dealership? Why are you meeting with me now?" I leaned back in the booth. "Because I'm curious about what kind of man starts dating someone else's girlfriend, then acts surprised when it gets complicated." "I didn't know she was still with you. She said you guys were broken up." "And you believed her?" "Why wouldn't I?" "Because she was living in my apartment and driving my car. Because she was listed on my insurance. Because if you'd done 5 minutes of basic research, you would have figured out she was lying." Eli's second whiskey arrived, and he took a large gulp. "Look, I'm sorry about your car. I'm sorry about the whole situation. But I'm not the bad guy here." "No? Then who is?" "Nobody. It's just a misunderstanding that got out of hand." I almost laughed. "Eli, do you know what I do for a living?" Vanessa said something about insurance. "I investigate insurance fraud. I spend my days talking to people who think they can lie their way out of consequences. You know what they all have in common?" He didn't answer. They all think they're the victim. They all think the situation is just a misunderstanding. They all think someone else is the bad guy. "This is different." "No, it's not. It's exactly the same." Eli was quiet for a long moment. staring into his whiskey like it might have answers. "What do you want me to do?" he asked finally. "I want you to stop pretending this is complicated. Vanessa lied to you, she lied to me, and she lied to the police. Now she's facing consequences. That's not a misunderstanding. That's justice. And if I stop seeing her, that's between you and her. I don't care who she dates." "You don't?" "Eli, I wouldn't take Vanessa back if she came with a full insurance policy and a written apology. This isn't about winning her back. This is about making sure actions have consequences." He finished his second whiskey and stood up, a little unsteady. "You're a cold son of a bitch. You know that?" "I'm a thorough son of a bitch. There's a difference." After he left, I sat in the booth for another hour, thinking about consequences and justice and the difference between the two. My phone buzzed with texts from Vanessa, increasingly desperate messages about talking things through and working things out. I deleted them without reading them completely. The next morning brought a call from Vanessa's attorney, a woman named Sarah Crane who sounded like she'd been doing criminal defense since before I was born. "Mr. Hargrove, I represent Vanessa Morales. I'd like to discuss the charges against my client." "I'm listening." "My client is willing to make full restitution for any damages to your vehicle and accept responsibility for the accident. In exchange, we'd like you to consider dropping the criminal charges." "No." "Mr. Hargrove, I don't think you understand the seriousness of what you're doing. My client could face jail time, lose her job, have a permanent criminal record, all over what amounts to a domestic dispute." "Ms. Crane, I don't think you understand the seriousness of what your client did. She committed multiple felonies." "Alleged felonies. And the prosecution's case relies entirely on your testimony about permission and authorization. Juries don't like vindictive ex-boyfriends." "Then I guess we'll find out what this jury likes." "Mr. Hargrove, my client is prepared to offer significant financial compensation in addition to covering your damages. We're talking about enough money to buy a much better car than the one that was damaged." I almost admired the lawyer's directness. "Almost." "Ms. Crane, your client doesn't have enough money to make this go away." "Everyone has a price, Mr. Hargrove." "You're right. My price is watching Vanessa face consequences for her actions." The lawyer was quiet for a moment. "I see. Well, Mr. Hargrove, I hope you're prepared for what comes next, because if this goes to trial, we're going to make this about your character, not hers. We're going to show the jury exactly what kind of man uses the criminal justice system to get revenge on an ex-girlfriend. Good luck with that." After I hung up, I realized I was smiling. For the first time in months, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The game was just getting started.